am Malia, Internet Manager at Spartanburg Toyota.
And I'm LaTasha Simmons, the Internet Director at Cleveland Ford.
Okay, and today we are doing a day in the life of BDC, except we're going to go a little bit farther than just one day. We're going to kind of go into our backgrounds, what our roles look like, etc., etc. So I wanted to kind of start with just introductions to ourselves and our background. I have been in the automotive industry for almost 8 years now, and like everybody, for the most part in the automotive industry, I never planned to end up here.
Right.
So I was working at a coffee shop down the road, and I needed a different job with more pay. I loved my coffee shop job, and I would still be there today if I could make ends meet with it. But so a friend of our family worked at a dealership in Spartanburg, not this one, and they needed a BDC agent. It was a brand new department at their store. I didn't even know what that meant, but it was full-time with benefits, and it paid more than I was making at the coffee shop. So I was like, yeah, I can figure out how to do that. And so I started there, and it was a rough introduction to automotive, I'll be honest. But I got contacted through a friend at that dealership, someone who works here, and they were looking for a BDC to kind of get that. They had already started it, but hadn't really taken off yet. So I interviewed and got the job. So I came over here, and I worked as an agent for a couple of years, and then got promoted to manager. And I mean, this thing is really like taken off beyond what any of us expected, especially during the pandemic. It got a lot busier online than we had ever been. So that was exciting. And so that's how I got here. What about you?
I mean, similar stories, honestly. I was in college and I just needed a part-time job. So there's a local Honda dealership in our area, and I applied there for a receptionist job, just part-time, something to kind of just get through while I was in college. And one day, after I'd been working there for several months, they were like, hey, so we have this position. I was like, okay, well, what is this position? And nobody really could explain it to me, if that makes sense. They're like, oh, people are going to inquire online. You just need to call them and tell them what. And so it was fun for a while. And actually, I was there for about a year. And the manager of that department, she left to go actually sell cars. So I was kind of in there by myself, and then just randomly was, I guess, promoted to manager at that time. I don't think it was a real thing. It just was because I was there. And so I graduated high school. I left there. Not high school, sorry. I graduated from college, and I left there. And I never thought that I was going to be back in the car business. It was fun, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And so I finally ended up back. There was a person at the store that I work at now that they saw my resume, and because of customer service things, they reached out to me. And they were like, hey, well, you have BDC experience. Apparently, it's not that normal for people to have that experience. So they're like, yeah, you can come in. I was like, okay. So once they taught me what I needed to know, because the other dealership didn't, because I don't think everyone knew exactly what was supposed to happen. But once they taught me how to do it, I was in. Like, there was no, oh, let's go find a different job. I was committed completely. And so I did that for a few years. Then I was the assistant manager in our internet department. Then I moved to a customer loyalty manager. Basically what that is sort of a part of the service department where you contact customers, you try to move them from the service aspect over into purchasing a new car, things like that, help them with different programming, things like that on their computer or their phones for their cars. So I did that for several months, and then kind of helped out with sales as well during COVID because that whole situation was intense.
Yeah.
And then right after that, maybe 6 months after that, then I became the manager in our internet department at Cleveland Ford, then became the internet manager for Cleveland Ford and Vehicles Direct, which is a different dealership that we had at the time. But I love it, and I'm here now. I wouldn't change it for the world at all. It's super exciting.